If you took a single cell from your body and stretched out all of its DNA, it would reach about 6 feet long. Connect every cell in your body end to end, and that strand would travel between the Earth and the Sun hundreds of times over. And within that vast blueprint right now, viral remnants are alive and breathing. 8% of your DNA, roughly 250 million base pairs, came from viruses. Part of what we call human is in fact the leftover wreckage of viruses that infected our ancestors millions of years ago. But here's what makes it truly shocking. Those viral remnants are not simply lying dormant inside us doing nothing. Some of them are still active, right now, enabling pregnancy, shaping the brain, and regulating the immune system. For a long time, we thought of viruses as nothing more than invaders. Things that enter from outside, damage our cells, and disappear. You get sick, a common cold, a seasonal respiratory illness, you recover, and it's over. That's what the textbooks told us. But that picture is only half right. There is a class of viruses that doesn't simply vanish after infecting you. Instead, they insert themselves directly into the host's DNA. We call them retroviruses. Certain immunity-compromising viruses work exactly this way. Once infection occurs, the viral genes integrate directly into the chromosomes of human cells. Every time that cell divides, the viral genes are copied right along with it. The virus has permanently engraved its own blueprint inside the hosts. The real issue arises when this infection happens at the level of reproductive cells. At that moment, the viral genes are passed down to the next generation, then the generation after that, and the one after that. Copied down through the lineage until thousands of years later, every member of that species is born already carrying that viral trace. Viral genes inherited this way through reproductive cells are called endogenous retroviruses, ERVs for short. The human genome contains more than 100,000 of them. The oldest traces were inserted over 100 million years ago. Back when dinosaurs still walked the earth, some distant mammalian ancestor of ours was infected by a virus. And that viral gene has remained inside us ever since. So why didn't our bodies ever erase these ancient invaders? Over hundreds of millions of years of evolution, there were countless opportunities to wipe these viral fragments out entirely. But that never happened. The reason is simple. Some of them became useful. Evolution hates waste. If an inserted gene isn't harmful, and especially if it's even slightly useful, evolution keeps it or puts it to work. The most dramatic example of this is the placenta. Ask most people what sets mammals apart from other animals, and they'll say fur, warm-bloodedness, or nursing their young. But what biologists point to as the most defining feature is the placenta. Growing a fetus directly inside the mother's body. That is the fundamental divide between us and egg-laying reptiles and fish. And it turns out a viral gene is directly involved in building this placenta. During placenta formation, the mother's cells and the fetal cells fuse together, creating a specialized tissue called the syncytiotrophoblast. Cells breaking down their boundaries and merging into one, this is an extraordinarily unusual phenomenon. Under normal circumstances, cells simply do not fuse with each other. Retroviruses, however, have exactly this ability. Penetrating another cell's membrane and merging with it is the very core of how they infect. Hundreds of millions of years ago, a retrovirus inserted itself into the reproductive cells of a mammalian ancestor and left behind a cell fusion gene. Instead of discarding it, evolution repurposed that gene for building the placenta. A virus's tool of invasion became a tool for giving life. In fact, when the gene known as syncytin is artificially blocked, the placenta fails to form properly. Pregnancy itself becomes impossible. In other words, one of the reasons any of us could be born at all is because of a virus from hundreds of millions of years ago. The brain is no exception. In 2018, researchers discovered that human brain cells contain a protein called ARC. This protein is essential for forming memories, learning, storing experience, strengthening the connections between neurons. ARC is involved in all of it. But when researchers analyzed the structure of the ARC protein, something shocking emerged. It is nearly identical in structure to a viral capsid. The shell viruses use to package their own genetic material. An ARC doesn't just look like a virus, it behaves like one. After being produced in a neuron, It packages its genetic material into small, membrane-wrapped vesicles and delivers them to other neurons. The way it travels between cells carrying information is mechanically identical to how a virus infects. The act of remembering something. Yesterday's experiences becoming who you are today. A descendant of viruses is part of all of that. Viral gene traces appear in the immune system as well. When a fetus is growing inside the mother's womb, her immune system should, in principle, attack it. Because the fetus carries genes from both mother and father, from the immune system's perspective, half of it is a foreign invader. Yet during pregnancy, the immune response is suppressed, allowing the fetus to grow safely. A growing body of evidence suggests that ERV genes are directly involved in orchestrating this immune suppression. The genes of a former invader now stand guard, protecting the fetus from other invaders. So have all these viral genes switched sides and become our allies? Not quite. Of the more than 100,000 ERVs in our genome, only a small fraction are actually functional. Most have accumulated so many mutations that they no longer function, preserved like fossils. The problem is that sometimes these dormant sequences wake up. In some abnormally mutated cells, ERV genes that are normally suppressed become activated. This kind of ERV reactivation has also been observed in patients with certain immune system disorders. Viral traces that have slept inside us for hundreds of millions of years can potentially become the trigger for disease. When you think about it, it's a strange thing. Each of us is a single human being, and at the same time, we carry inscribed within us hundreds of millions of years of infection history. The viral legacy is deeply entangled in the most fundamental things we do: forming memories, having children, maintaining immunity. The boundary between human and virus is far blurrier than we ever imagined. Your body was never entirely yours alone. It is a collaborative work shaped by hundreds of millions of years of invasion, fusion, and adaptation, viruses included. And it is because of that complex legacy that you exist right now, watching this and remembering it. If you found today's video informative and enjoyable, please subscribe and leave a like. It truly means everything to us.